Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Tuesday. Sit down, get comfy with your tea or your coffee. We need to have a discussion because civilization needs a visionary, and I mean exactly what the title of this video says. Civilization needs a visionary, not apologist, not people lost in nostalgia over a past they view through rose-colored glasses. We definitely don't need more preachers of utopia. You scratch these idealists and you will find a tyrant beneath the skin every single time. So let's shuffle off to the side all of those people and ideas that aren't productive for constructing the future and have an actual adult conversation amongst ourselves. There is a time and a place for analyzing what occurred in the past and why it happened. That helps us understand how we got to the present and why we observe the influences in society that we do. It provides context and perspective for the nature of the problems we face. But all the analysis in the world doesn't make up for not having a plan for what to do next. And there's also a time and a place for keeping track of what's going on in the here and now. Being completely uninformed does not serve anyone's interests, but neither does getting lost in the fog of noise surrounding current events. We can discuss what's happening, but again, that's not a plan for the future. And all things begin with a vision that requires that we have something we need to work towards with attainable goals and that we actually look forward to creating. So practicality is required. Again, the goal needs to be attainable. The goal must have value in and of itself and benefit people within the civilization in a tangible, practical way. Now, the need for a visionary doesn't mean having just one person with the vision. I don't think that's going to be a recipe for success. There needs to be a broad conversation and an exchange of ideas amongst people who actually want to move forward and get beyond the mess of the present. Most of us understand that what's going on in the here and now isn't working. We understand what influences are actively destructive, and we definitely understand the influences that are dehumanizing. So let's stop inviting our own destroyers to the table and stop taking their views into consideration at all. That's what the Founding Fathers did when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. It sent a message to the Crown that they saw no benefit in further negotiation. They did not see a future for themselves in some kind of shared society. So it was time to split ways. They would attend to their own affairs and they would work out what needed to be worked out with the people who were actually around them and shared the common vision for the future. And their example in doing this has never been more important for us now. And the underlying problem that I see today, which gives birth to so many other problems, is that people are not punished when they usurp power that doesn't belong to them. They're not punished when their whole goal is to control other people and to demonize anyone who objects to their tyranny. This issue is something that needs to be addressed politically and culturally. Some useful political reforms would include, but are by no means limited to, creating constitutional amendments that strictly define what politicians are and are not allowed to do, the not being allowed to do being, I think, the most significant part of this, and also to define what actions constitute breaking their oath of office, and to define sentences. Yes, legal consequences for breaking this oath, depending upon the severity of the offense. This might include prison time, exile, as in, the old fashioned thing saying, you are stripped of your citizenship and you are now banished from our shores, exile, and, in the most extreme cases, execution. Law enforcement also must be required to place constitutional law as completely and utterly supreme. No exceptions, no excuses, and to require them that by law their primary responsibility is holding politicians to account and pursuing investigations whenever there's any question of a law being broken by a politician. The criminality in the political classes is far more dangerous and the damage is far more widespread than anything that, the ordinary criminal element in any society could ever hope to impose. So this would make law enforcement's primary responsibility to making sure that they are not the weak link in the chain and to protect the people who are their employers from the nastiness and the criminality of politicians. And if they deliberately ignore that and that's found out to be court, then maybe we need to talk about the law enforcement officers who neglected their duties experiencing the same penalty as the accused politician if convicted of the charges. Now, on the cultural front, we apparently need to relearn not only what American values are, but why they matter. why people were willing to fight an entire revolution to try to establish them in the world. The case has to be made, and there needs to be vocal public approval for the ideas and the practices of liberty, self-governance, and personal responsibility. And this means we stop making excuses for ourselves and stop making excuses for other people. Stop expecting someone else to get out there to do the work and take the risks and, get the disapproval from others who view the world in a very different way. Stop evading the responsibility. Use your voice, speak up, get involved in the process. We get the society we tolerate. And if we tolerate political tyranny and social tyranny, then that's exactly what we'll get. And frankly, that's exactly what we have. So if we want something better, it begins with us making better choices. Now, I've only brought up 2 ideas in this video because those ideas, if implemented, would radically change our society for the better, and potentially it could even resurrect the Republic itself. Just 2 ideas actually applied and enforced. And these are just 2 among many good ideas from extremely intelligent and well-spoken people who have thought matters through and have also thought about the practical ramifications for their own ideas. If we come together with that, we can create something much stronger than the Church of Woke, these feudalistic corporations, and the authoritarian governments combined. But it relies on the citizens discussing these matters amongst themselves, taking a realistic and practical view and deciding what remedies are required. We do have things in common, and those commonalities could build something worthwhile that we can live with and thrive in. Life is never going to be perfect. Never, never, never. Corruption will always exist. That is a reality. But we can get better at addressing it, and that means putting better tools in place. It also begins with meaningful talk and disregarding the tyrants and worrying about what they want and what they will allow. They've had their opportunity. They have not only made their case, they have imposed their ideas upon us, and we see what happens in practice, and we are only beginning to understand the human suffering that is involved in that. They've had their time. They don't need to be indulged any further. And that's what makes the next step harder, and it requires resolve, because it lies in implementation. Now, thankfully, unlike leftist ideologies, there is a narrow pathway forward that does allow for meaningful change through peaceful political processes. Granted, the authoritarians make this harder every day, but there is still a small chance that we can fix our society without having to go through civil war or violent revolution. It is still possible, just barely, for that to happen. So let's talk about the society we actually want, how we might be able to reform our way there and give up bemoaning the loss of the past and the insanity of the present. It isn't productive. Yes, know what happened and know what's happening, but always with a focus to chart a better course forward. What is your vision for that better tomorrow? And are you sharing it? And are you networking with others? That's where I am leaving it today, because I want to have a broader conversation with this. So share your thoughts in the comments section. Come see me on Discord at Blackbird's Brew. Link to join in the description box below. And in the meantime, please like this video. If anything I'm saying to you makes sense, please share it out with others, because again, this is about having that broader conversation and connecting each other to people who are willing to have those discussions. That's an important part of the process. And as a last thing, please do subscribe if you've not already done so. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.